Thank you so much for letting me come in your classroom.
Thank you.
How's everything going?
It's going well. It's going well.
Good.
Thank you for coming in. I'm looking forward to this.
Good. We're gonna watch your video.
Okay.
We're gonna look at, what you enjoyed, what you see that works really well. I don't want you to be really critical about yourself, because it's hard to do when we're watching ourselves. Look at what the kids are doing, look, what you like about what the kids are doing,
Okay.
and then what areas you might want to see improvement. Okay, so we watched the video, and so I want you to tell me on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being the worst lesson that you have ever taught, and 10 being the best, how would you rate that lesson?
Probably a 6. I'm thinking about a 6.
Okay, why do you say that?
Well, there was some humor with it, and I like to have that energy, where we're kind of relating and it's not just flat out direct instruction or something. So I liked the feel of it, but it was a launch to a new lesson. And I don't know, some of it, I feel like that if I'd like to be able to go back and change some of the choices I made with the lesson. But, in terms of even different things that I used within it. But it didn't go as well as I wanted it to. It felt like I talked a lot, and I'd like to go back and think about how to do that differently, because even though there was some humor and a little bit of laughter, it was more like I was on show in a way. And I didn't, yes, because of it's this launch thing, I was supposed to be the supreme leader that they're doing this marketing campaign for. I was needing to perform a little bit, but at the same time, it's like I never came off of the show. So there was this issue a little bit with side conversations and kids just not getting enough feedback from them, not enough student involvement.
Okay.
And especially, we always have to start new units and put out where we're headed.
Mhm.
And it feels so heavy me at that moment, and I'd like to learn ways to incorporate them more.
Okay.
Because I feel like that would help with the buy-in more than just a launch kind of feel.
Sure.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So,
What would you want your students to be doing differently? So you are sharing a lot of information with them because you're launching this new
Mhm.
unit. What would you want them to be doing? What would it look like for them in the classroom?
maybe, I do kind of use think, pair, share to death kind of thing.
Okay.
But that kind of thing where they're thinking about it on their own sometimes and then interacting with each other. A lot of times my desks are not every unit, but a lot of the units, they're in little pods almost. And so it works well to have some feedback with each other and then giving me input.
Mhm.
I like that kind of thing, and where you can sense that they're building together. But what happens with that is so many times, because they're facing each other and I'm wanting them to talk with each other, it's like the coming back from talking with each other
Okay.
is so hard. Or one side of the room, I'm with them, and the other side's starting to talk about the other thing. How do I keep that more managed, I guess?
Okay.
Also expectations and wondering, so they know what I'm expecting of them, and they're in this new unit that we're doing, there is a level of success criteria that they're having to meet.
Mhm.
And I want to make sure they understand that expectation of what's happening. It's not just some performance that Miss V is doing, that it's clear on what their expectations are for each thing.
Okay. So I hear that you want to, increase the time that the students are talking, but appropriately talking.
Yes.
Working through those transitions when you're moving from one task to another, or if you're working with certain groups and then the others. And then really increasing that student engagement, whether it's through
Definitely.
setting those expectations for them
Mhm.
and how they move there. Okay. So we talked about what you want the students to be doing differently. And so how do you think you can measure that change of students more on task with their goals or with their conversations and not so many side conversations, and how do you think you could measure that change? Or what does that look like for you and your?
I don't know. I don't totally know how to measure the change, because the thing is, like, it happens often. Like, even today, it happened in another lesson that I did where there's half the room engaged and the other half not engaged.
Do you think
Is
they're?
that what you're asking?
Yeah, like, do you
Okay.
think they're engaged in different conversations, like off-topic conversations, or is it because like you're over
Sometimes.
here, they've moved on to the next thing, or do you think they're totally spinning off? Because like when I watched your video, I didn't see like distractions by cell phones. I didn't see
Yeah.
a lot of that. I saw, little pockets that were
Mhm.
talking, but I couldn't tell if they were just talking about other things. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Or if it was just-
it's probably about half and half, because in my classes, I teach mostly on level. And so there are kids in there that probably could be in the honors program. And so there is sometimes where they're just kind of bored because they really get some of the concepts already.
Sure.
So that happens for sure. But there are some times where it's engaging enough that people are talking about that thing, or maybe I just, they're talking about the thing. It feels like it might be weighed a little bit more on they've left the conversation. Okay. I'm a mover though, like I move around the room.
It's good.
And so that does help. But just yesterday, I was on one side of a classroom and they were doing the conversation on the other side, and I had to walk over there. By the time I got there, it happened. And I guess because I'm thinking about it more too, I don't know, but I said, guys, you saw me move, right? Like at that point, I mean, it's one of my smaller classes, and so I could kind of be more laid back with them. And I was like, I came over here because you were talking. I go back over, and they were off task, So that's why I feel like that maybe if I could plan better the questions. I don't know how to measure it though, exactly. But like if I could plan better the questions that I'm asking, so it would be even multi-level, like, so they know where they're going with the next question for the ones that get done.
Right.
Because they're definitely off task at some points. Like you can do the thing, like, how do I keep that more managed, I guess. Okay. I'd heard of this thing called content learning maps. And I wondered if that would be a thing that might help. I don't know, might help with that. I don't know if you ever used that before, very much about that, but I don't know. I haven't tried it before, so.
Okay.
Also like expectations and wondering. So they know what I'm expecting of them, and they're like in this new unit that we're doing, there is a level of success criteria that they're having to meet. And I want to make sure they understand that expectation of what's happening. It's not just some performance that Ms. V is doing, that like it's clearer on what their expectations are for each thing.
Okay. So I hear that you want to, increase the time that the students are talking, but appropriately talking.
Yes.
Working through those transitions when you're moving from one task to another, or if you're working with certain groups and then the others. And then really increasing that student engagement, whether it's through setting those expectations for them and how they move there. Okay. You mentioned the content maps.
Yes.
Those learning maps for students. And so we could design one that, sets up those expectations, but also leaves room for them to, take notes or comments or, add to their learning and kind of document what they're doing. So as they finish a conversation, they could move into that area.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So tell me this.
Okay.
Having clear expectations and increasing the student's time on task. Those seem to be what you.
I mean, is it? Yeah. I'm sorry. When you just said time, I was like, is it crazy to think about like just setting a timer?
No,
Okay.
not at all. No, not at all.
Okay.
I think And I think part of it is, I don't think kids get it. Like, I don't think they realize how much time they waste
Mhm.
in what they do. And so sometimes like hearing it and having to physically mark, okay, am I on task right now? Or what's my, sense of engagement right now? Not only gives us good feedback, but I think it gives them good feedback to say, okay, am I
Yeah.
where I need to be?
Right.
If you hit that goal of increasing student engagement or time on task, would that matter to you?
Oh, definitely. Especially in this unit, like the timeliness is just impeccable. I mean, seriously, I'm so grateful because this unit, we've got to do it really fast. And I feel like some days I'm just like, come on, come on, come on, and I don't want to do that. I feel like it changes the whole mood and tone where we started off with this kind of humor and supreme leader, supreme,
Right.
and then now I'm like, come on, hurry up. And I don't want to be that kind of supreme leader.
Right.
I don't want to be in character all the time.
Right.
And so this is so great timing wise. Yes, it would be a huge impact for me if I could learn how to like have a plan for the timing.
Okay. So I think what I'm hearing you say, like using those content learning maps,
Mhm.
and we'll design them so they're student friendly. We'll make sure that
I'm
they're
glad
in
you know
language
about
that-
that stuff. Yeah.
And then I think also utilizing the timer and that kind of checklist, survey, will also be good for them. And, because it's hard for us to see what's happening in every little spot.
Yes.
So that way.
Because even like on the video, I knew one of the pockets that you didn't see. I knew they were having side conversations because they always do, that particular group, but I couldn't get the wide enough angle lens
I
to.
don't know. I think.
But yeah.
I mean, your kids.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but that would be so helpful.
So I think the tool of them marking am I on task or am I engaged, and then us working through the content learning maps would be a good way for you to hit that goal.
Yeah.
All right.
It sounds like it's time to keep going.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to this. Thanks for the help.
Of course.